Welcome back to Talking Europe. A Polish prime minister saying he's ashamed of his Polish identity. A flood of migrants assaulting people on the streets of Bulgaria's capital. And the grandmother of a top European official shaking hands with Adolf Hitler. All of the above are fake stories, and they are part of what European officials are saying is a surge of disinformation in the run-up to next month's European elections. Now, much of it, they say, is from Russia, without love. And the goal? Well, simple, to confuse voters, sow distrust and doubt and division about the election process and about democracy itself. So I'm here today with two guests. Both of them are sitting members of the European Parliament. One is Daniel Freud. He's a German who sits with the Greens, the European Free Alliance in the European Parliament. And across from him is Katarina Roth-Nevědalova, a Slovak MEP, and she sits unattached with the Slovak Social Democracy Party. That's the party of Prime Minister Robert Fico, the victim of a recent assassination attempt. He is right now in the process of recovery. Look, I want to start with both of you. Disinformation is nothing new. And I want to show our viewers Winston Churchill, about 80 years ago. What did he say? He warned, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. But I'm asking both of you today, many people say there's a growing sense of urgency around disinformation, especially in this election context. And I want to start with you, Daniel Freund. As a German, right now, in the European Parliament, do you see greater urgency around disinformation, or is it the same old thing, just in new clothing?
I think there is urgency because social media has made it even easier than it was in the past to spread disinformation, to spread lies very quickly and very efficiently. And what is also different from before is you notice even less. When people were spreading leaflets or things on the radio, you would at least be aware that there are lies being spread. But if I'm not part of the right filter bubble on Telegram, on WhatsApp, on TikTok, I don't even know what is being said and therefore cannot even answer to that lie. So there is a real urgency to make sure, particularly during an election campaign, that lies don't just spread uncontrollably.
I'm just curious, though, is there a sense that it's too little too late? The measures being taken to fight disinformation. I think one person I spoke to said it's like the ocean, trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. Katarina Nevědalova, do you agree with that? Do we have the measures in place to fight this flood of fake stories, of bad information?
Thank you very much for this question. I would agree with Daniel that it's quite difficult to fight this if you don't know that it's happening. So this is the first, we have to have a discussion. We have to have really the control and to check what is happening, what is going on, where these misinformation are spreading. So we have to be more careful also what we are saying as the politicians. Concerning the measures, we are quite limited, I would say. When this assassination attempt to Prime Minister Fico happened, also there were some lies and misinformation which spread in the social media platforms. So the European Commission did they did use one of the measures which they have. They requested the social media platforms to really control the hatred speech and to really check what is going on and what the people are typing behind the keyboards. So that's one of the measures which we have. But frankly, it's more about raising awareness of the society to know that some information can be misleading and can be not the true facts. So that's what we can do to educate the people, because the measures are quite difficult to be used.
I want to give our viewers a sense of the gravity, perhaps, of the situation, especially in Central Europe. Now, a recent survey, a study showed that around 45%, that's nearly half, of citizens of the Czech Republic, not where you're from, but the Czech Republic, were exposed to false stories just in the first 3 months of 2024, this year. In Slovakia, where you're from, that was even higher. 58%, almost 6 out of 10 Slovaks exposed to false information. Are Central European countries, maybe because they're closer to Russia, I'm just guessing, are they at particular risk of false stories because of that geography?
I wouldn't say that we are more close to Russia, and that's why we have this situation. The thing is that the traditional media are losing their sense. They are losing the viewers, the people who watch them, who follow them, who read them, because they, especially if we talk about Slovakia, because they didn't give the chance for different opinions to be presented. So naturally, the people try to look for the sources of the information where the people are talking the way they also believe to, or they agree with. So that's why the traditional media are losing. That's the first point. And then you have the possibility to spread more information if you don't have so much control over what's said, or if it's smaller platforms which are bubbling and which are rising up here also in Central Europe. But I'm not saying that this all of them are bad, or they misspread or they spread the false information, of course, because many of them are just having different opinion on something. But it's more difficult to control if you have suddenly so many of them. If you have suddenly anybody can have the YouTube channel or can have any platform and the podcast. So it's very easy these days. So it's very difficult then to check and see. So if the traditional media would be really caring much more about different opinions and offering the people different opinions on specific issues or on specific topics, then we wouldn't have this problem in Central Europe.
Daniel Freund, coming from Germany, have you yourself been the target of disinformation?
I mean, I see lots of hate. I see falsified images, even videos now that are generated with AI and are fake. I also encounter, I mean, when I speak to voters, when I speak, for example, to students, I encounter the kind of stories that they seem to be getting from TikTok or other social media platforms that often have very little to do with reality. It's not like they believe all of it, but the doubt is often, already something. If you make people doubt what politicians say, what quality media say, they have a doubt on everything, and that is something that Putin and the Kremlin very strategically try to plant to undermine, for example, the support for Ukraine in EU member states.
I want to just, show our viewers two images. Here in France, we're right now also sort of being targeted by what some investigators say is disinformation, misinformation from outsiders. Just in the past week, there have been these spray-painted red hand symbols on the exterior walls of the Holocaust Memorial here in Paris. You can see the images. Our viewers can see them on the screen. They think that was outsiders. They suspect maybe even Bulgarians, they haven't confirmed it, brought in to do this, and then they left France. And they're harking back to an earlier episode last November when Stars of David were found spray-painted on walls around Paris. They also suspected outsiders, perhaps propelled by Russia, behind those interference. How do you fight that when it is so murky? You don't know who's being told by whom to do these things, but like you said, they sow confusion and doubt. Katerina Nevyadalova.
Well, the thing is that before we had much more public meetings. We were meeting the people as the politicians. It is not Russia propaganda or whatever. The reason why this all is happening so fast is because we had the COVID pandemic and people were locked. And the fear is the strongest component in any decision. So if you use the fear and you can manipulate the people. So people were not getting more information. They were just locked at home. They were watching whatever was available, and not many information was available. So naturally, they were looking for the sources. And this is the place where the misinformation started, much more than some propaganda from whatever. Because people were just searching. They are hungry for information, so they just want to know. And it's very easy to mislead them to something which is not correct. And we have to be more open. I think that also as the European Parliament, but as the politicians ourselves, we have to be more open. We have to more meet the people. We have to talk to them. We have to have very open discussions and try to explain the things which are happening around us. Because if we don't, somebody will. And it will not be the way we like or we agree with, or it's necessarily not the fact. So we are responsible as well for this happening.
And Daniel Freund, we're running out of time, but I want to ask you, Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president, who is seeking a second term, she says that if she's reelected, she wants to set up what she's called a European democracy shield What is that? Could it work, or is it just a political gimmick?
Well, I mean, that's a question you would have to ask Ursula von der Leyen. I haven't seen any more detailed proposals on what that would actually be. But I think, I mean, in terms of defending European democracy from foreign interference, I mean, we have seen arrests now of staffers in the European Parliament. We have seen previously with Qatargate arrests also of MEPs, former MEPs, allegedly being bribed by Qatar, by China, by Russia. We need to protect European democracy. And at the moment, the EU actually cannot do that because protecting democracy is a national competence. We don't have a European Secret Service. We don't have any laws even against this type of foreign interference. So if we want to shield the European Parliament, the European Commission, the EU institutions in general, we need European rules and we need a European defense of our democracy so that we don't make it so easy for Xi, for Putin, for others that basically just want to buy decisions in the EU institutions.
In one word, we have about a minute left. I want, or 2 words, each of you to say, are you worried that the European elections next month from June 6th to 9th are going to be undermined or jeopardized by disinformation, the outcomes?
I will start no. And I think that we also have to protect the freedom of speech, which is very integral part of the rights of the people in the EU. And we cannot punish the people for different opinion. And that we have to really divide what is a misinformation and what is a different opinion. So this is very crucial in all of these discussions.
Daniel Freund, last word.
We need to be vigilant. So far, I think things are going okay, but we need to keep eyes and ears open and make sure that if there is something going wrong, that we act on it.
I thank all of you for watching today, and keep your eyes on the European elections coming up in just a couple of weeks' time.